tym angielskim. Jazda. So I would like to say welcome to everyone that is watching us on YouTube, and also welcome to everyone on the stage. This is our second Nx Meetup. Today we will have 3 speakers. The first one, myself. Also we have a Kasia Biernat-Kluba, a great speaker from Katowice, experienced one, and also very pragmatic speaker, Dawid Perdek, that once was my teacher when I was at the beginning of my speaking career, let's say. So, one thing I want to announce is that I would like to invite everyone to amazing Angular meetup in Wrocław that's hosted in Synergy Code's office, and also said big award for Dawid. He's now a part of a community leader of Angular Wrocław. Big applause for Dawid.
One note, it's not actually in the office. Like, it will be in the Synergy Code's office, but right now, for this one time, we are in Houston Job.
Okay, my bad. I just assumed that this is already a new office, so thanks for clarification. So, we will start with Kasia Biernat-Kluba talk, that it's true, because what I will bring to you today is not a talk at all. We will have a little bit of new things from releases from Nx, and a little surprise for one of you later on. So, what's new in Nx? In the version 22, we have a couple of cool things in Nx. The first one is redesign of Nx graph, so it's extremely more performant. Now the nodes are loading on demand. No, as it was before that, they were loaded instantly, and now we can also change the direction of the graph, so we can analyze the situation from different perspectives. Very cool stuff. Also, we have improvements in terminal. So before we have a pagination, it was pretty difficult to use. Now we have infinite scroll, so it's just more convenient to use, so you should give it a try. Then we have one of the best things coming. So we have a support for Maven projects. So for me, as an ex-backend developer before the Angular, I love Spring, I love Java, and I'm very happy that finally we'll have a Maven support. For now, I did not give it a try, but soon when I will find some time to create another pet project that I will never complete, obviously. This one will have Java Spring inside, and also the C#.NET supports. I have to give it a try. But the thing that is the best, in my opinion, is AI integration for Nx. So now simply by putting one command, and the command is configuring AI agents, the files will be created for you, one for Cloud, other for other IDEs, because for Cloud you need Cloud MD, for other AMGs MDE. And if you want some new content for it, you can just run the command again, and it will evaluate and enhance your actual configuration, so you can be safe that it will be better than what you have now. And also we have self-healing CI. And this is a big thing. In big monorepo, most time lost is actually looking at the pipeline, trying to fix it when you have like 20 minutes of tests and then it's just failing, or it's failing unaffected and you are waiting for that 40 minutes. If the PR is big, it happens. So self-healing CI, when you can let's do it for an agent, is extremely big time saver. So let's focus on that. And let's focus on that side. This is coming from Nx article, and let me read it. The organization that will win will be the ones where work can be delegated to agents running uninterrupted. That's what Nx is for. And the interruption for an agent, it's actually failing pipeline. And we have a fix for that. The fix for fragmentation problem, sorry, that's the other thing. Let's go. I messed up slide. Let's go for vertical fragmentation. So this is actually the pipeline problem. So when the peer fails, we have a stop. We have to concentrate on it. We have to fix it. And with agents, we can actually get it fixed by AI. So this is actually the vertical fragmentation problem, what's stopping the agent. You can watch very good videos from the creator of Nx, Victor Savkin. I did initially wanted to present the videos to you, but we failed with the transfer of the voice. So maybe for next time, we will show you the videos. We are progressing all the time. The another problem we have will be horizontal fragmentation. So you have a code in many repositories. So the stop for the agent is that you actually have to pass the code, and this takes tokens, this takes time, and it's very error prone. So that's a little bit of idea for you what is agentic experience. So we have prepared for you a couple of videos, a couple of blog articles, our knowledge, and our help. Because if you want to speak at Nx Meetup 24.6 and you are a first-time speaker or a second-time speaker, or you are just coming to IT and you want to try something different, you can come to me and tell me about that, and I will give you a help. And if no one, let's say, comes to me tonight, the call for papers for the speaker will be open for other cities. So that's how it looks like. And that's the end of my talk. So every new NX radar will be actually a slot for a rookie. We will be presenting together, yes, you will be presenting with my help the new things from NX that are actually easy to learn, they are cool, same like agentic experience. So that will be the topic. And let's go straight to the Kasia talk. So big applause for Kasia, Biernat-Kluba from Katowice.
Yeah, can I go?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to start this presentation with a little exercise. I would like you to raise your hand if you have ever used in your career ng-new command. Okay, Angular developers on board. How about create React app? Cool. Okay, we have React developers as well. npx create Nx workspace. And Nx build. Awesome. You can congratulate yourselves because it means that you have already used generators and executors. That is the topic of my today's talk. You can give yourself a big round of applause. So let me introduce myself before I continue. My name is Kasia. I work at Hyland as a front-end developer. I am a Microsoft MVP. And actually, I have a big connection with Wrocław because I graduated from Politechnika Wrocławska, and I have a big heart for the city. So yeah, it's very good to be here. Okay, before we start, I suspect that all of you already know, but just to set the stage, what is NX? Well, if you go to the NX website, you will learn that it's a build system for monorepos. It helps you develop faster, keep CI fast as your code base scales. So what it actually means? Well, the key features are obviously the monorepo management, and this is probably why we all use NX. but also all the perks with the computational caching, the dependency graph, incremental builds, all the new cool features they are introducing now with like this self-healing CI and everything that Adrian already mentioned. But there is one more thing in NX that I think is not very well known, but is actually very powerful. And that is the tooling integration and the extensibility. And this is what I would like to focus on in this talk. So let me introduce the use case that I am going to show today. We are going to build the DC comic fandom, and every superhero will get his own library in my NX monorepo. So the structure of my code will look like this. There is the monorepo, one application, the DC fandom, and a library per every superhero. I'm gonna have the items.json file that will describe my superheroes to display on the home page. And since I chose Angular for this task, but it doesn't really matter, I need to have the app routes config file to have all the correct routing for my superhero libraries. So now, my task as a developer is to add a new superhero library. So how can I set up a new library? Well, option A, I can just copy and paste existing code, rename, remove, adjust, and probably this is what most of us would do. And it would work, of course, but is it the best way? Well, let's see other options. Option B would be ask AI to generate the code, but then probably you would have to do some cleaning up, some adjusting, because you know how it is with AI. It works, but it's not perfect. Option C, which is maybe slightly better, we could use the actual NX built-in library generator from the schematics. So we would have a proper NX library, NX Angular library created. But then we would still have to add the new entry to our items.json with a new superhero, the routing, we would have to scaffold the fandom page, and so on. So it's okay, but still there are some repeatable steps. So probably in this use case, we are going to add a lot of new superheroes, and there are these repeatable steps, so why not automate it? And because our developer that is working on a task is in fact a super developer, he knows that he can generate a generator. Okay, so how you can add a generator into your NX workspace? Well, first you have to extend the capability of your monorepo with a plugin. So you have to execute the command nx add nx plugin. Then generate the actual plugin, and inside generate a generator. So enough of theory, let's actually do it. Yeah, I'm gonna need some help here with the mic. Thank you. Yeah, this is the beauty of having the live coding. Okay, so here is my repo. I have my application, the DC fandom with the SRC, the app inside. There is this item.json that I was showing you already in the presentation. That is the app routes. And at the moment, I have only one superhero set up that lives in my libs, Green Lantern, yeah. And I'm already running this, so let's see this in action. Okay, here's my Green Lantern superhero. I can click it, see some overview of the fandom, navigate back. Okay, so let's generate a plugin first. I have already extended the repo with the NX plugin capability. So now I can add NX generate plugin, and I will call my plugin tools because it's just going to be my internal tools. So it is going to prompt me a couple of questions, like about the linting, the test. I will just go with the default for now. Okay, so now I should be able to see my newly created tools. Okay, there it is. It's pretty empty. And if we look into the project.json, you will see that it's nothing else but just another library type of Nx. So there is no mystery here. The default build executor is just the TypeScript compiler. So no magic here, just plain old TypeScript library. Okay, let's add the actual generator. So I will generate my generator with nx command, and I am adding the path where I want the generator to be. Okay, perfect. It appeared here. I have also this new generator.json file that describes all the generators I have available. So now there is the only one at the moment. Okay, let's look inside our hero-lib generator. So the first file that is important is the schema.json. So the schema.json is the file that describes the shape of the arguments that you can pass when you run the generator. So by default, it only will prompt for the name, but for my generator, the hero-lib generator, we will need a bit more properties from the user. So let's implement it. And I will prompt my user about the name, about the image, and I will make those two required, and then optionally a directory. But if they don't pass it, I will just evaluate from wherever he runs this generator. So this is the optional one. And next in line for the generators is the schema.d.ts that has to mimic exactly the schema.json, because this is the file that we are actually going to use in our generator code. So let's implement it. I have my hero-lib generator schema with my name, image, and optional directory. So this exactly reflects the schema.json. And then I have my generator options that extend it because I need to populate it with some additional information. But I am going to derive it all from whatever user told me provided when he runs the hero-lib generator. And finally, the most important file of the generator is the actual TypeScript file of the hero-lib. So here is where the actual generator logic lives, and this is what gets executed. So by default, we can see that Nx already created some code for me. So what this would do, it hard codes the place to generate this library. It would add a project configuration into my Nx, and it would generate the files from files directory, which is here. And here it is pretty simple because I only have the index.ts.template. So this is a template file. Let's see. Well, as you can see, it's pretty dummy at the moment because we only have some variable exported. Okay, so we have to actually implement this code to make sure that we have some meaningful code generated. So because let's remove this default implementation. And because I don't like reinventing the wheel, I am actually going to reuse the already existing library generator that comes from Nx Angular generators. So I'm not going to generate all of these library files that my default generator would do. I'm going to compose my generator out of this already existing one. So I'm going to import it. And just by calling this line, I would already have similar result as if I would be just calling the Angular library generator in my Nx. But of course, I need to have a correct schema. So let's get the schema properly implemented. Okay, I will normalize my options. Let me implement it in a moment. But first, let's implement the correct type. So the library generator of Angular, of course, expects the schema to be of Nx Angular generator library schema. So this is the one that we want. And we are going to use the helper method from Nx Dev Kit. The Nx Dev Kit is super useful library. It's a little library. Unfortunately, it's not very well documented. I'm not sure why, but it's very helpful when you work with custom generators and executors. So for this, I'm going to import it. And let's implement this normalize option here. Yeah. So as I promised before, I will derive all those additional information that I need to generate my library from whatever user gave me as an input. So the directory, route, import path, and so on and so on. Okay, so at this point, I have an Angular library created with some predefined schema options. So for example, I've already set up that I want the change detection to be on push, I want the style to be as CSS, and so on and so on. But, well, we are quite far from there. So what we want to have next we want to have this items.json file automatically modified. So let's apply this code mod here. That's going to be this function here, modify items.json. So what this function would do, I would first use another helper option from the Nx Dev Kit to identify the target project root and retrieve the path to the file that I want to modify. And then I will simply update the JSON. Again, Nx Dev Kit helper function, very helpful. I highly recommend using it. And updating JSON is pretty straightforward because JSON have usually solid structure, so no surprises there. It's going to be either an object or an array, so it's not a rocket science to just find this array and insert new element inside like this. But next in line, what we want to update, is the app routes. And with app routes, here is a little bit more complicated story. It is because it's not a JSON file, it's a TypeScript file. And how we can modify a TypeScript file in a reliable way. Well, we could try some regular expressions, but that's most probably is going to be buggy. So what we could actually do, what is the best approach here, is to go through and analyze the abstract syntax tree of the TypeScript file and insert a new path in the correct way. So let's see how the abstract syntax tree looks like for this file. Well, if we put it in the AST viewer, you will see that we have import declaration, that's correct, then another import declaration, then we have a variable statement, inside we have a declaration list, a variable declaration, okay, array type, perfect, and finally we have the actual array literal expression, which has object literal expressions inside. So what we have to do here, we have to traverse through this syntax tree, find the array, and insert another object inside. So there are, as always, many ways to accomplish it. I am going to use a third-party library in here, but you can even do it with plain TypeScript if you'd like. And I chose the JS Codeshift. I've seen this was once recommended by Nx. I'm not sure if they are still recommending it. It's, I believe, from the meta. So it's not some no-name library. And it is more convenient to move through this abstract syntax tree with it. So how it works, I create the route template, just regular Angular route. I read my file. And then with this JS Codeshift, I traverse through this abstract syntax tree, and I find the name declaration, variable declaration, array expression, and finally, I insert a new element into this routes array. So it's a bit more complicated to write the TypeScript code mod, but it is feasible, and you can do it in a quite repeatable way. Let me actually call those functions here, so that I don't forget. So we have a modify items.json and modify app routes. And I have a good hints from my copilot, because last thing I would want to scaffold this basic component, so that when I generate my new hero library, it's not going to be some component works component, but it's actually going to have this basic thing scaffolded. So for this, let me implement it. I'm going to call this function generate additional files, and I will place it. I have to take my source folder, which is going to be the files. I have a target, and then I just generate these files with options. And options are just those parameters that will replace my templates. So let's get this template running, because this index template is not very helpful. I'm going to remove it, and I have it already prepared just to save us some time. Let me put it here. So I have, as you can see, the name is quite mysterious because it just underscore component name. But the thing is that this is going to be actually replaced. So by the parameters that I will pass, it will generate an actual component with a proper name. And I have my HTML with some placeholders like name, which is going to be replaced, a CSS, a TypeScript file that has some basic, some code already. So the selector is going to be replaced, and so on. So we have all this template with placeholders that we can just replace. Okay, so at this point, we should be good to go to actually test it. Let's see, hopefully it will work. I'm going to use the visual generator now. There is this Nx generate. And look here, it's already detecting that I have created a new generator. And it's here, it's a tools, hero lib. Let's see. Okay, I don't care about this. And this form actually reflects my schema. So it has an image and a name as required values, and then optional directory, which I'm going to skip, let it just resolve by itself. Okay, I'm going to generate a library for Batman. I think it was like this, and it's going to be called Batman. I can see a dry run in a terminal. This looks good. It tells me what it will do without doing it yet. So dry run is pretty helpful here, but I like the outcome, so let's do it. Okay, I think it has finished. So, okay, my items.json get this additional Batman. That's good. Routes got additional. Oh, and the formatting is messed up, because actually what I forgot to do, I could actually also add the format files. And I think it's an async function. Yeah, this would make my formatting way better. So let's see if it actually works in the app. Okay, and we have Batman. And I can click it. Oh, and it didn't work because it was supposed to populate the component. And why it didn't work? It's a good question. I think I know. It didn't work because I didn't call this function. So obviously it did not generate my additional files. But don't worry, we'll test it again in a second. So you might wonder, is it still relevant in 2026 now that we have AI and we are doing all this AI-assisted coding? So who uses generators anymore? So what if I told you that it is actually very relevant, because AI agents combined with Nx skills work perfectly with generators. So let's try using it. I'm going to use my AI chat, and please generate a new hero library for Wonder Woman. Let's see. And this is always the moment of truth. Okay, so look here, it actually used Nx generate, so it used the skill. Okay, so this is good. Let me check the generator schema. And it's using a dry run. Okay. And look here, it actually detected that in my Nx repository, there is a generator that matches my prompt. So it will not just generate random files, but it will actually use this generator to create a reliable output. So a new library is Eclipse, Wonder Woman. Okay, looks good. Let's see if it works. Okay, it seems like it worked. And I fixed this creating files, so I have my fandom. Okay, so we have a library generated. Let's go back to the slides. So here is a question. Is a library the only thing that I can generate? And the answer is obviously no. You can generate pretty much anything. You can generate single files. You can generate components, libraries, as you've seen, entire applications in your Nx monorepo. And you can actually generate an entire Nx workspace. So, and the whole beauty of it is that you can package your plugin, publish it to NPM, and redistribute it. So it can be used in different Nx monorepos, or even act as a preset to create a new Nx workspace. So let's try doing it. Okay, so in order to have a whole Nx workspace preset created, I will have to first create a generator for an application. I will just use the UI now, so that I don't have to type some commands, and it's going to be a generator UI. The path will be fandom app, and I will just add some description, create a new application for fandom. Okay, generate. There we go, it's created with this default out-of-the-box generator. We have the schema again. Let me update the schema. This time I will only prompt for the name and optionally for a directory. Let me update the schema.ts. Again, name directory, and in my generator option, just directory actually resolved. And finally, the actual implementation of the generator. So that's going to be an app generator. And here, let me just add those imports. I am going to do pretty much similar thing. I am going to reuse the application generator from Angular, from NX Angular generator. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I will provide those default schema options. I have to add this additional dependency because I depend on Angular material. So I need to make sure this is done. Let me just import all those missing imports. Yeah, and I need to generate these additional files to scaffold my application. I will implement this generate additional files. So just like before, I am going to use the files here. So let me delete this dummy index.ts. It's not needed. And I have the files already prepared. It's a bit more files here. I have them prepared so that it goes faster. But of course, if you are creating your own generator, you have to curate your files so that they are properly created with this .template way. Okay, so by this time, I should have already this app generator. So if I run nx generate, okay, that's already here, my fandom app, I can generate an app. So I can generate this app, but only inside of my repository. But what I really want, I want to have it in completely different repos for different teams to reuse. So if I want it to be available for this create NX app, I need to also create a preset. And it's just another type of generator. And this is actually a very small one. It has to be called preset. So I'm just going to call it preset. Okay, schema is as here, so it is only going to be a different implementation here. Here, okay. So this is actually very simple code. I am pretty much just importing my fandom app generator and invoking it as a preset. And that's all my preset does. So how can I now test it? Well, I would have to package it into the npm package, publish to an npm registry. Yeah, it would work, but there is a better way to test your npm packages. And for this, I am going to use Verdaccio. How many of you have already heard about Verdaccio? Okay, we have a few hands up, that's great. So for those that didn't hear about Verdaccio, it is actually very convenient if you are creating redistributable packages. It's a hard word. Verdaccio lets you set up a local private proxy npm registry. And the great thing is that it integrates beautifully with NX. I have already pulled it as a plugin into my NX. So let me start it. And I start as NX local registry. Okay, it should run. Let's see. Okay, so I have my local npm registry. At the moment, no packages. I will leverage the NX release to publish my packages. And for this, I need to make sure that my tools package is actually releasable. So let's check out the package.json. Okay, I have some errors here because the dependencies are not aligned, so I will auto-fix it. And now I have all my dependencies in place, and I don't want this package to be private. Okay, and in order to make sure that it releases correct with NX release, I need to add here one more target that is called NX release. And it's a target NX release publish. It's just using the built-in NX release publish executor that will make sure that the release happens in the right way. I didn't do any extra configuration for this task, but NX release is pretty powerful. So I suppose it could be even a presentation on itself. Okay, let's do a release. It is executing the pre-version command, which is doing a build, and now it is asking me what kind of change. It will try to release all of the libraries in my project. I'll just release a major version for every one of them. Okay, yes, I want to publish. Okay, published with localhost. Okay, so it looks like the NX release worked quite well. There is the library that I am interested in, my Catherine 0/tools library that contains the preset. So now I will go to a completely empty workspace, completely outside of my repository, and I will try to create NX workspace. I will call it, for a change, not the DC fandom anymore, but the Marvel fandom. And I am going to use my preset. So it is going to prompt me for a couple of things. I am going to skip all those additional things for now. And this takes a while because it has to wrap all of these npm packages. It has to create a workspace. And even though I did it already and I have a lot of things cached on my computer, it is still pulling a lot of things from the repository. So I was thinking that while we are waiting, I am going to do a little quiz here. Oh, I was supposed to show the slides. This is when you add slides last moment. But while we're waiting, let's see what's going on. Okay, still creating. So I would like to ask you, who do you think is the greatest superhero of all times? Please raise your hand if you think it's Superman. Okay, cool. How about Batman? Okay, and Spider-Man? Okay. I'm not sure. I think there are more votes for Spider-Man. It's always the battle between Spider-Man and Batman. I don't know why nobody likes Superman. And it is still working. Yeah, this is the beauty of live coding, that sometimes you just have to wait. But don't worry, I have a backup plan if it fails. But I hope it won't, because I would like to show you that this thing is actually working. Yeah, come on, you can do it. Yay, successfully created. Okay. Fetching. I don't know why it is always fetching. It should be cached. I think Nx team or npm team maybe should work on this. Adrian, do you have an insight at Nx team?
Maybe.
Okay. You should file complaints to them. They should reuse my computer cache, because I was doing this today when I was testing. Yeah. Sorry, just a couple of minutes more. Hopefully seconds. Okay, success, there we go. Let me navigate to this Marvel fandom, not the backup one, the actual one that I created, the Marvel fandom. Okay. Let's launch it. It's a new cursor. I don't need the chat at the moment. So I have the app created, Marvel fandom. Let's run it. Nx serve Marvel fandom. Yes, of course, the port is in use. Let's use different port. Okay. And awesome. So I have this pure Nx workspace created from the preset that was pulled from the npm registry. So this means that I can actually create some presets, like Angular team creates their presets, like React team creates their presets, Next team create their own presets, and I can redistribute it, for example, for my company, for my teammates, or whatever need there might be. And there's even one better thing, that if I browse my Nx generate, I have the access to all those generators that are in this library. So I can actually create a new hero library using this generator, because it is in this package that I created. So pretty powerful tool, not very widely known, I think. Okay, so those were the generators. And what about the executors? By definition, executors are prepackaged node scripts that can be used to run tasks in a consistent way. So what it means, I don't know how about you, but I often see repositories with a lot of dangling scripts all around the repo. Some random shell scripts, some pure JavaScript scripts to be executed upon CI, all in different places, all untested, obviously. And Nx executors is something that you can actually make, you can introduce some order to your scripts in your repo. Yeah, let's create one. Okay, I'm going to close this Marvel fandom now, and let's go back to my original repo. Just for the order, I will create a new executors directory. And of course, I'm going to generate this executor. So I'm going to use this Nx plugin executor generator. Let me just scroll this down. Yes, I know I have uncommitted changes, but this is fine. And I'm going to call this call Batman. When in trouble, call Batman. Not Barman, or maybe Barman. Depends what trouble you're in. Okay, is it generated? Hopefully, yes. Okay, there is my generator. There is also one more file created, the executors.json. So my package now exposes also the executors. And let's implement it. This time, let's keep it easy. I'm gonna leave my schema empty, but similarly to generators, you can populate the schema with parameters that your script requires. So I am not touching this one either. And I am going to do my implementation here. And I'm not going to show you this implementation just yet. Yeah, let's go to the project.json, not here just yet. And how we can use those custom executors? Well, just like we use those built-in executors. So we just need to add another target in our project.json. Either those app project or library project. It really depends on what your custom executor is doing. There are all those built-in executors that we use all the time. And I am going to add here this custom one. It's very simple. If I had some additional options in my schema, I would add them with the options property, but I don't have, so that's a simple one. And I have this little button here that says Nx run tools called Batman. And yeah, Batman is coming to save you. So we have our executor that, of course, is dummy for the purpose of this presentation, but you can actually have some meaningful, like you can convert your all random shell scripts to executor, and then you can actually test them. So you can create proper unit test. You can incorporate it in your pipeline. And I find it more manageable to put my scripts, especially those that are executed on CI, as executors, rather than have them just dangling around my repository in some strange places. Okay, so that's pretty much it for live coding. Can I get the mic up again? Thank you. So just to summarize everything that you've seen today, generators let you automate repeatable code creation tasks. So you can generate the libraries, applications, components, files, and you can redistribute your generators as NPM packages. And what is a good thing about this in the AI era is that it can provide this additional consistency layer to the AI-generated code. There is this devkit package that offers a lot of nice utilities when you are working with custom generators and executors, which I recommend using, though I have to complain it's not very well documented. So hopefully NX team will change it at some point. Yeah, and executors let you create custom commands executed upon your monorepo and help you manage all those dangling scripts around your repository. Okay, thank you very much. I am going to push. Yeah, thank you. I am going to create a new branch from what I created today, if you are interested, and I will push it to the GitHub repository so that you can see. And I'm going to name this branch Wrocław 2026. Thank you.
Do you have any questions to Kasia? Szymon, do you have any questions in the chat?
No.
Okay, if there is no questions to Kasia, you can also talk to her after the talk. So
yeah,
now,
I'm going to be here, so if you have any questions later on, just come and ask.
Huge applause. We will have now 20 minutes 20 minutes break, so we can grab a beer. And then David will come with his talk. Let me connect this.
Thank you very much. I think I will just sit here since it's probably more comfortable. Okay. Am I audible? Okay, I think now it should work best. Okay, so what I want to talk about today is a short case study of the migration that happened in our project, in our quite big project. Migration of from one monorepo actually to the separate monorepo for frontend. So yeah, we had a lot of issues, and now we still have a lot, but a bit less. So it's fun. It's fun. Okay, so first of all, what we need to do is to explain the context of our project. And from the technical perspective, what we are talking about is a huge .NET based solution with multiple projects. Some of them are API only, some of them have some views, so we also are maintaining these views. And we have like 45 or even more micro frontends written mostly in Vue. We have some shell app that displays all of that, and we have some shared component library, like every project, I guess. So stack is quite wide. We have a lot of different technologies there, and we have this whole kind of everything depends on everything. Who has ever seen this kind of project? Who has worked in that? Yeah, a couple of hands up. Yeah, of course, that happens. So we have a lot of situations like some custom script needs to be run in order to build some dependency of that package, and only if you remember to do that, then you can develop locally, things like that. So this is like a main caveat of our current or our previous setup. Or maybe I should be saying current. We are in the middle of migration. So let's say we are still not there yet. And from the organizational point of view, from a long time, we have been saying and trying to start this kind of migration. And from this point of view, I can understand and I can agree that it was not the first and main and most important business priority, since the product is doing great, product is making money, so developer experience was not like the first most important thing. But recently, we finally got the developer experience team, and guys in that team are laying foundations for improving our workflows, which is great. And one more question here. So who has a developer experience team in their company? I'm curious if that, okay? So not a lot of people. I was curious about that. And in our organization, in this particular product, we have like 15 or more squads, most of them backend heavy, but they either maintain the old .NET views or they have their own Vue micro frontends. We have one repository, and that's not entirely true, as some of the microservices were already moved out of this repository. But today we focus on this one, on this one main thing, main .NET solution. And we also have a funny situation with CIs, because we have two of them. And we are at this place where we have docs for understanding the older docs for the previous pipelines. So that's also a bit confusing. And we also hope to resolve, at least partially, this issue with the migration. So our main problem is about of course, slow pipelines, a lot of wasted time. With such a big team, we have a lot of queue jobs every day. And let's say you are changing something in the shared library. This triggers a lot of jobs for each of the micro frontends, and you are basically queuing all of the workers. So whoever does anything else somewhere in the project needs to wait because someone changed a label in the shared library. So we have this kind of setup. And also because of that, of course, we have a very long execution time. So no incremental builds, everything starts from scratch. You change the label and you get change the label in one micro frontend, you get the whole build with whole .NET solution, everything builds. So like it's a very, very long process. And also in our setup, we have this versioning. I would say that's an issue because whenever you change anything in the library, let's say, every micro frontend that depends on that library gets the version bumped automatically. And that's also a bit confusing. So you are never sure unless you read the commits list what is inside of your newer version of your own micro frontend. So we also want to get rid of that. And to finish the context, a few words about me. My name is Dawid Perdek, and today I will be talking about the project from Altium. Anyone knows Altium? Okay, a couple of hands. Yeah, that's a product for designing electronics, so it is quite complex. Yeah, hence this stack and this whole mess. And if anyone would like to talk to me about basically anything, any of these technologies or experiences, I will be happy to do that. I am also doing a lot of public speaking. I am a Microsoft MVP, the same as Kasia. And yeah, that's fun. Public speaking is fun. So if you want to do that, also let me know. And yeah, so what are the main benefits of using the monorepo in your project? So right now we should have like a single source of truth. Everything should live in one place. Technically speaking, we have that right now, but some things live not on the let's say tooling layer, like what Kasia showed before, but it's more like spread across custom scripts and stuff like that. So I wouldn't call that single source of truth in the end, even though it lies in one repository. And yeah, right now we don't have any way to build only affected stuff, and with proper monorepo tooling we should be able to do that, which is awesome. And yeah, we also have a lot of direct file system dependencies between the products, some hard-coded paths in these custom scripts and stuff like that. And monorepo usually gives us the possibility to simplify most of that and avoid this kind of imports, improve versioning. And in general, that should improve the collaboration, right, in our team, in our product. But there is one asterisk that this happens only after the big bang. So whenever you start the migration, this will take some time. You can do it step by step, etc. But at some point, you need to move the switch, and you just have to do it, and that's a big bang. There's no way to do it gradually. Okay, and when you have all of these issues in our project, technically speaking, we could probably resolve them with multi-repo, like extracting all of the micro frontends to separate repositories, extracting the library, maybe using some npm registry on our side. But in the end, we decided to go with monorepo because we have a lot of shared code and a lot of these dependencies and this whole mess with pipelines, which are also tightly coupled. So in our case, I think that made more sense. But of course, multi-repo works in many scenarios. It's not like any of these approaches is superior in every case. So two main options we are considering is Nx, which gives us a lot of nice features, and I don't think we need to dive any deeper after the previous talk. So we have things like graphs and caching and a lot of plugins and generators and executors, so exactly the thing that Kasia was explaining. And the other tool we were considering was turborepo. And here we have less config, it's simpler. You just add one file with pipelines and yeah, that works, no plugins. On top of that, we of course have similar features like some caching, some parallel execution, or working with any environment. So these technologies are quite similar in the end. What else? We also tried. We tried Nx twice. It seems so. Okay, but we tried. We considered a couple of different technologies. But in the end, we narrowed this list to these two, and that's because, well, smaller ecosystem and less people just knew them. At least in our case, in our company, most people were at least a bit familiar with either Nx or turborepo. So that was the main point. But on top of that, other like Bazel seemed too complex for us. And yeah, and Lerna, by the way, is also maintained by Nx right now, so we didn't even really consider that very strongly. And yeah, we created an architecture decision record for that. And as I said, we had this whole big solution. The main problem was that we are using only these 3 directories inside of our huge .NET monorepo. And we have 3 different folders containing micro frontend, some front-end features, or some view shell application and stuff like that. And because of that, we have a lot of system references and trigger a lot of jobs. In the beginning, we started with building identical setups for these both chosen technologies. And with some moving small part, like one shared library, maybe one micro frontend. But moving the real packages and the real config just to see how it behaves. And then we did like a huge code review. The huge front-end community, whole thing in our company was able to see that, play around with the examples. And then we are also benchmarking pipelines and discussing this record openly. So by the way, that's what I recommend doing whenever you have to do some big changes in your company or project. And in the end, we chose TurboRepo because of the minimal overhead and less changes were required on our side to just start with that. And the main point for us, or maybe not main, but important point for us also was that it seems easier to migrate from TurboRepo to Nx, for example, or like build on top of that and add more and more, while Nx requires like a kind of big bang to just move everything there and change the tooling, adjust the infrastructure. Here it was just easier. So that's the point where we're at right now. And some part of the application, some micro frontends are already moved there. But yeah, it will be probably a long run. Probably I can come here next year and maybe talk about how that ended up. But yeah, it will take a while, especially that we are working on a living organism, like doing changing the engine on the flying plane. So yeah, it has to be done carefully, and at some point there will be this big bang when we switch. So we'll see. For sure, there will be. It will be a nice topic to talk about next year. And unfortunately, I can't show you the code, obviously, because of the NDAs. But I prepared a small demo for myself with little app for who has the back to office policy and is forced to go back to office. Anyone? Okay. So we are kind of, yeah. So one of the main problems when you work from the office and you have a lot of people there is where to go to lunch. So I created, like, it's a very small POC, no handcrafted code, everything from AI, and it kind of works good enough. So I created this one application with, at first I created the Angular version, like a plain without any Nx, TurboRepo, whatever, and with what turned out to be 9 libraries. So we have a couple of features. I will show the app in a second. So we have one app, 9 libraries, and this identical source code in Angular was, of course, with power of AI, was moved to both Nx and TurboRepo just to compare how this looks like, and for the small benchmark, which I will show in a second. Now let's take a look at the app. Okay, I guess that should be okay. So we have a very simple application. Nothing important is going on here. Some list of users, some list of restaurants you can add. Every restaurant has a couple of dishes. All of the data was also randomly generated. You can disable restaurants, etc. And okay, let's do this. Let's start voting. And now we'll need to jump around. Yes, we can leave at 12. Okay, awesome. And now we need to choose our preferred place. So Bella Italia, sushi, burger, and we can also say that we don't want to go somewhere. Let's say the other person will do that. Oops. Great. Okay, let's do that. And they say we can't go to the Italian one. And when it's done, so as you can see, we have a couple of views. It's not a very complicated app. Each one of the features will be a separate library then. And wait, where do we go? We go here. So we have 2 submitted votes. We can end voting. And here we can see who won. Sushi won. Okay, that's great. and now people can choose the meals. So nothing fancy, it's quite simple. A couple of views, one or two shared components. Here we can see the list. Oh, and this actually comes from our problems with lunch. So usually we try to go at 12 p.m., but sometimes someone has some meeting, and it's very hard because we need to order together. So it's very hard to get from them their order. So that's our biggest issue actually with this whole lunch thing. Yeah, so we have this kind of simple app, and yeah, and we can take a quick peek at the code base. So here in the base, yeah, I think it should be good. So here in the base we have this whole application. Everything's in app, so yeah, no libs, no apps, no special division features nested here, and that's it. And then I was, actually in the repository, anyone used Kiro? Okay, a couple of hands, yeah, great. So I was actually using Kiro here, and I think it did quite good job. It didn't require a lot of not manual coding. I said I didn't do that, but a lot of messaging and adjusting later on. This whole approach with spec-driven requirements, tasks, and design tasks works quite well. And so what I did is I explained the application, of course, here, and Office Lunch Base is the main spec. And when the main app was created, I was just saying something like, take the base folder and migrate that to Nx or migrate that to turborepo. So it was like one sentence prompt. And in both cases, of course, it did like a lot of tasks, very reasonable description, and did great job right away. So in case of Nx, it was basically working out of the box. In case of turborepo, I had to do a couple of additional prompts about the tests, and it took some time. But in the end, like this whole thing was created, like all three versions, I don't know, maybe 2 hours or something like that. So yeah, it did quite a good job. And what I have, what is the important difference we have here? So for example, in Nx, we don't have the package.json in every library, but we have a project.json and this whole thing with tags, which is one of the greatest features of this whole Nx thing, at least in my opinion. So having these tags and this rule for enforcing boundaries, awesome. You don't get that out of the box in turborepo. But this is also a part of this like whole migration stuff you have to do when you move to Nx, because you have to do this. You have to tag all of your micro frontends libraries and everything. And that's some effort that we don't have time for right now. And for example, here in turborepo, we get the separate package.json everywhere. And I guess partially because of that and because of the vtest config, I had a lot of issues with that. I had to ask AI to resolve that. That was a sacrifice I was ready for. Yeah, okay. So basically this is how it looks more or less. We can dive into that later if anyone wants. I can also send you a link. But what I wanted to show you after I tried this out with like a couple of scripts. Without cache and with cache, linting, testing, and build, you can see that there are quite big differences. Everything here is in microseconds, except for the last row, which is in kilobytes. That's the build size. So the app isn't big. It's like 68 kilobytes. And actually, the Nx version was like 800 bytes bigger for whatever reason. But yeah, quite small in both cases, and the difference is negligible. So no worries about that. And in case of these three scripts, you can see that turborepo was slower with linting and building without the cache. Surprisingly, it was faster with testing. But when it comes to cached results, it was faster with linting and testing, and surprisingly, it works longer with build. So I was very surprised about that because, for example, with tests and lint, we have like 15, 16, 18 milliseconds. When it comes from cache. I think I even run that here. So tests are cached. Oh no, I made a change before. Wait. Yeah, tests are cached like 23 milliseconds, 20, 21. Oh, okay, that's probably because Maybe because I'm sharing the screen, it's a couple of milliseconds longer. But anyway, it's very fast. But when we try to build that, and it should come from cache, no, what happened? Oh, now it's 60 milliseconds. Okay, great. It was not like that. Let's see here. That would be more consistent. Yeah, here you can build is basically instantly. Yeah, so that's very fast. And here now, okay, looks better, but still it's a bit slower, I guess. 60. I will need to probably adjust that. Anyway, it looks like Turbo Repo is just slower at the first try without the cache, but then it just works slightly faster. And when we are talking about this in general, Nx scored a bit higher in our across our front-end community. As I guess probably because more people is familiar with that. I guess it's more popular. Who used Turbo Repo before? One hand, okay. Yeah, so as Nx, just for a formal vote. Okay, yeah, so 4 times more at least. And yeah, and in our case, in the company, we decided that Turbo Repo was faster to bootstrap, and Nx requires more config to benefit fully from it. But my small case here actually shows that I spent more time on Turbo Repo. It's not days longer, but I know 20 minutes longer. In this case, it's a noticeable difference. Yeah. So what is important? The most important takeaways from this short case study is that the caching is the very important thing here and a huge benefit, especially if you can introduce that in builds and optimize your pipelines. Then right now we can have some pipelines that works goes for 4 hours, so that's a lot, and it would be great to just speed them up, at least cut in half or whatever. That would be a lot better. And yeah, so plugin ecosystem, and in general, I believe that in the end we will probably move to Nx, at least in my opinion. It's not it's settled anywhere, but I think it will end up this way because there is a richer ecosystem and just more plugins, more stuff. But Turbo Repo in the end turned out to be faster to start and more flexible, and it gives us exactly that, more flexibility for the future and to just move gradually from this whole .NET monorepo to our to extract the front-end part to a separate monorepo and improve that. And we have to remember that migration in general is just it's a process, not just an event. Of course, this asterisk is there. There is some point where we do the big bang. It's almost inevitable. So we usually need to do that this way. But the migration can be done step by step, gradually. Then it's just more smooth. And in the end, that's not magic, but when you get these tools, for us, when we finish this migration, this will be magic. Moving from 4 hours pipeline to some cached incremental builds, magic with 20 minutes will be awesome. So I hope we will see this magic very soon, not necessarily next year, maybe this year. That would be great. And with that, that's it. Thank you. And if there are any questions, I have this little chicken to give to someone who will ask the question. My girlfriend made that. It's pretty.
I have a question. Why did you have node modules inside libraries?
To Dawid.
Wait, here's a question. Once again.
Okay, so I have a question. You show your code. Why did you have node modules inside libraries? Shouldn't be in monorepo 1 node modules?
That's only some VTest cache results.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't remove that. But the main node modules is in fact here. Yeah, on the Turbo Repo folder level. Yeah, so that's fine. This is only from VTest. Some, I don't know why. Probably some config can be changed to store that somewhere else. Okay, so you won the chicken.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, bro. Adrian?
Okay, so if there is no more questions, I would like to invite also the second speaker to the stage. Let me put the slides.